2 years ago, I released a sort of Halloween-themed update for Caelesti. This was easily my most community-driven update yet, featuring a collection of custom pumpkins designed by you guys, as well as the first wave of coffee donator zombie skins. Halloween is right around the corner, and I want to do something new to celebrate the occasion. This year, I want to focus on the spider. The vanilla spider is, in my opinion, a little weird looking. I've already established a trend of much higher complexity entity models than in the base game, with my strider being a prime example of this. Striders with knees? Well, if striders can have knees, then so can spiders. So here he is, the brand new leggy lad. I've got the strider up here as well for a bit of a size comparison. Striders are considerably larger. While we're here, I really have to point out how hilarious the hitbox difference is. The spider isn't too bad. I mean, the very ends of the legs won't count if you're aiming at those, but the majority of the body is within the hitbox. The strider is particularly bad. So for those of you that aren't too familiar with how CEM animation actually works, these legs aren't the spider's actual legs. They're kind of like fake legs that are all children of the spider's neck. I don't understand why this section is called the neck, but it is. Since I already had to replicate the leg animations over from the base model, I've also added some custom animations for the head and the abdomen as well. Whenever the spider turns to look at you, its head's rotation is actually halved, so it doesn't clip into its legs like it usually would do. And of course, as it lifts its head up, the abdomen also raises up, which is supposed to be a sort of threat display. In my recent videos, a good number of people have been asking for fresh animation support, and I hate to break it to you, but that ain't happening. CEM is definitely one of my weaker areas when it comes to pack development, but like with any skill, you can always improve through practice and determination. Fresh animations is the undisputed pinnacle of CEM animation. This just absolutely blows my mind. It has a turning animation? What? What? I didn't even know it was possible. One of the best and worst aspects of pack development is that you can always simply unzip a pack and take a look at how it works for yourself. So let's demystify fresh animations together. How exactly does it work? Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, this is just well above what I'm capable of doing. There is some insane stuff going on in this model. I only figured this out recently, but you can actually preview animations within Blockbench. You can kind of enter a sort of simulation mode right here and then toggle certain variables to get like a walking animation playing in the editor, stuff like that. Some of this stuff does make sense to me, and it's kind of only a little bit more extended compared to what I've done in the past, but then you have certain things like is aggressive, which will raise the abdomen of the spider and then lower it when it's no longer aggressive, but it will smoothly interpolate between these two states, which I just have absolutely no idea how that's done. There's also this like position Y, which I think is for when the spider is moving up or down. Like you can see the abdomen going up, but as soon as I release this up or down scale, the abdomen like smoothly moves back to the position it should be in. Again, I just have no idea how that works. I do want to learn more about CEM animation, but it's going to take some testing, trial and error, and ultimately a lot of patience. CEM animation is arguably the most difficult aspect of pack creation to learn, so I'm going to shelf my big ideas for now, and I'll come back to this in the future. That said, there's definitely some more I can do with my current CEM skill set. Fair warning to all you arachnophobes watching, there's going to be a decent number of images of real spiders throughout the rest of this video, so you've been warned. When a spider dies, its legs curl inwards. This happens because spiders use a sort of hydraulic system to move their legs. This system fails when they die, making the legs contract and pull inwards. In vanilla Minecraft, when an entity dies, it sort of just flips over. Spiders technically have a custom death animation, flipping over 180 degrees instead. Fantastic idea, but terrible execution as they just sort of clip into the ground. This does give us a really good starting point though, and we can definitely make some improvements from here. I've moved every bone into a new root folder and added a new animation to raise the spider up during its death. It's actually a lot more simple than it looks. The whole thing is an if statement checking for is alive, with the second entry in these brackets being the value when true and the third being false. Death time is a value that changes from 0 to 20 over the course of an entity's death. By clamping death time to a maximum of 10 and then using that for the interpolator of a lerp, I can have the spider translate along the y-axis over half the duration of the entire death time variable. Does that make sense? Thank fuck I scripted this. Anyway, spiders don't clip into the ground anymore. Next up, I wanted to improve the head. I want to make the spider as menacing as possible, so what better way than to add a pair of giant chelicerae. I want these raised and off to the side, but I also want them to have a slight idle animation as well. Fresh Animation's spider also has separate chelicerae, which slide back and forth periodically. As with everything in Fresh Animations, it feels exceedingly random and natural, and I want to see just how that's done. I'm not even going to attempt to break this one down like I did with the death height offset, but I've converted this specific part of the animation to an expression which we can now visualize on Desmos. If you think of the x-axis as time and the y-axis as the translation of the targeted part, you can see here how the chelicerates should move back and forth following this curve. I've also got a variable a which represents what would be random ID, a random float associated with each entity that is always somewhere between 0 and 1. I want to give a huge thanks to FreshLX for helping me understand their workflow and use of Desmos in producing animation curves. It's truly inspiring stuff. Now that I have a rough idea of how to go about making these random and varied idle animations, let's create one from scratch. To start out, I wanted to get a better idea of how performing operations on these expressions would affect the curve. For each example, I'll have the original maths expression, the CEM animation equivalent, and how it actually looks in game. Once again, in each of these examples, X represents time. Multiplying X by 2 doubles the speed of the animation, whilst dividing has the opposite effect. Dividing sine X by 2 reduces the maximum and minimum values of the curve. Adding and subtracting from X offsets the animation, which makes this perfect for timing variation through the use of random ID. We can also vary the timing of animations by using cos instead. Where sine starts at 0, cos starts at 1. Finally, I wanted to talk about clamping. I've also offset the value of X to make this one a little bit more readable. Clamping a value means it cannot exceed a specified minimum and maximum. Next up, we have a couple of more complex expressions. By using multiple instances of sine throughout the expression, we can add some very interesting shape to the curve. I'm thinking of this one in particular as nested sine waves. So, quick update for you. I currently have the flu, which is why my voice sounds a bit weird. I don't usually make videos one at a time. I'm often working on multiple videos at once, and the variety really helps me to keep things fresh. It's around about now that I took a quick break from working on Spider CEM to make the mushroom video that you may or may not have seen. I included a snippet of this project in that video, and Ewan, a certified CEM wizard, messaged me with some fantastic advice. Back when I made the Strider, CEM didn't yet have custom variables, so I haven't had a chance to use them. Ewan wanted to explain how his villager umbrellas work, as they're a perfect example of CEM animation states that smoothly transition based on a custom variable. In addition to this, he showed me how variable counters can be used in lerps to smoothly interpolate between two custom values, something that will be especially helpful for my spider Caelesti idle animation. Yeah, I've been pronouncing Caelesti wrong up until now.
Caelesti.
Damn. So, after researching how operations manipulate the animation curve and hearing Ewan's advice about using linear interpolation, I've decided to combine the two techniques together and use the output of the animation curve as the alpha of a lerp. This part's gonna get pretty technical again, feel free to zone out for the next 63 seconds. Behold, my latest and greatest thing. Let's break down how it works. Once again, this setup is essentially a nested sine wave with X representing time. The first instance of sine dictates the minor frequency and the second dictates the major frequency. A dictates both the offset and amplitude of the major sine wave, whereas B and C affect the frequency of the minor and major waves respectively. D represents random ID, which is multiplied by 8 simply to make it more impactful. Given that we're using this curve as the interpolator of a lerp, we're only bothered about the values between 0 and 1. Right off the bat, we can clamp the value to see what the resulting animation will actually look like. We get long periods of downtime where nothing is happening, interrupted by short bursts of active animation. Adjusting the value of A dictates how much of the curve is above and below 0, which makes the periods of animation more frequent and much longer. Once again, B dictates the frequency of the minor wave, meaning more movement during the period of active animation. Finally, C dictates the frequency of the major wave, making periods of animation more frequent but more condensed. So if you made it this far into the video, first off, thank you, and also congratulations. I imagine that was pretty boring. With all that out the way, here's what we've actually created. Maths. That's right, that's maths with an S. You wouldn't say mathematic. Let's switch the focus back to that custom death animation, shall we? Wait, stop. So, simply stopping the spider from clipping into the ground just ain't gonna cut it. How about we set up an expression that has the legs, head, and abdomen all fold down and inwards during the spider's death. You can see here that the spider was actually looking up at me when it died, and as a result, the head, abdomen, and neck end up locked to their last rotation before the spider died. What we can do then is essentially have two animation states for each of these parts. When the spider is alive, the head and abdomen should follow the current rotation rules, but when the spider dies, those rotations are overridden by the death sequence. For the legs, that if statement should essentially be a more complex version of this expression. First though, I've added a death curl animation to the head, neck, and abdomen, which I'm now referring to as fake body purely for the sake of consistency. Given the number of custom animations, I've also now separated the body, Caelesti, and leg animations into separate blocks simply to make things more readable. Now, when the spider dies, the head and body will smoothly interpolate from whatever their rotation was in life to this. In order to add a custom death curl to the legs, I'm going to need to completely overhaul how the legs actually function. In vanilla, the spider's static model looks like this, but when animations are added in-game, the legs are splayed out to give the appearance we're all familiar with. Right now, I'm piggybacking off of that system, so my spider's legs look like this jumbled mess in Blockbench and get nicely reorganized into what you've been seeing in-game with the addition of animations. From what I understand, this approach is more of a quick fix and severely limits what we're capable of doing with the spider's legs. Take a look at this. In theory, the fake legs need to be rotated about 45 degrees on the Z-axis. I can add the appropriate animation, which adds this rotation over the course of the spider's death, but the resulting in-game rotation is kinda jank. I wasn't planning on delving into custom walk cycles in this video, but I was also planning on posting this video a few days before Halloween, so I guess I can take as much time as I need now. Damn you, influenza. So now I need to figure out a custom walk cycle. Okay, so of each of the entities I've already done CEM animation for, which one has custom legs? Oh, this video really is just Strider 2.0. Okay, so get this. When I made the Strider, I included a check for limb speed, which is just completely unnecessary. There are essentially two ever so slightly different walk cycles, depending on whether the Strider's limb speed is above or below 0.5. What's more is the walk cycle associated with a lower limb speed is more unhinged. So you get this steadily increasing stride that suddenly and abruptly calms down as soon as the limb speed is 0.5 or higher. Just to be clear, the ability to preview animations in Blockbench like this did not exist all those years ago. Every single time I wanted to make a change, I had to reload Caelesti and see it in-game. I'm pretty sure the goal here was to have two separate walk cycles depending on whether or not the Strider was sprinting, but obviously the idea got lost somewhere along the way. I'll most likely be taking another look at the Strider in the near future, but for now, I can definitely repurpose and upgrade the animations I originally used to give the Strider its funky fake legs. To start off, I've reorganized the legs to more closely resemble that of the static vanilla spider. Each of the custom rotations can be added afterwards through the use of animations, and that'll allow us a lot more control over the finer details. I'm starting off by focusing on just a single leg. The Z rotation of the leg is actually the simplest aspect, with the leg being rotated up when the spider is alive, and smoothly transitioning to the death curl position when the spider dies. As for the walk cycle, we'll need to animate the leg's Y rotation, and we'll need additional Z rotation to show the leg lifting off the ground in between steps. A good starting point is a circular motion, which we can achieve through the use of a combination of sine and cos. The fact that sine and cos are naturally offset means that we'll get a circular motion instead of a diagonal sliding motion. Once that's looking good, all I have to do is clamp the Z rotation of the leg and voila! I think that's a pretty good walk cycle. I can adjust the same basic expression to fit the opposite side and then extend the same system to all 8 of the legs. As simple as this may appear, it's already a huge step up from vanilla. I just really like how the legs actually lift off the ground during a step. I've been showing footage of this new walk cycle to a couple of people in the Discord and some friends, and people seem to really hate it, which is exactly what I'm going for. What you've seen simulated in Blockbench was actually at half speed. It looks all the more horrifying in-game. Oh yeah, so now that the legs have completely custom animations, the death curl is finally complete. Well, it's nearly complete. I want to add a random offset to the amount that each leg rotates, but I'm waiting for the next update to EMF before that can be properly implemented. Now there is a lot more that I want to do with this spider in the future. A couple of things that come to mind are an idle animation for the body, further animations for the Caelesti when the spider is attacking, a falling animation, a custom animation for the legs when the spider jumps to attack the player, and finally the dreaded turning animation, which I'm told is pretty difficult to get working. For now though, I'm super happy with where the spider is at. Making this video has only increased my interest in CEM animation, so you can definitely expect a few more videos of this style in the coming months. Now, I know what you're thinking, Scal, are you ever going to texture the sad looking guy? Fine. I'll start off by reorganizing the UV layout and creating a simple base texture of flat colors to ensure everything is working as anticipated. Then I'll create a simple palette, remembering to properly hue shift as I go. I always try to avoid using black and white in my textures, so the spider's palette actually consists of dark blues and purples. I found a couple of reference images that I thought could help me with the position of eyes and the layout of the body, and got to work. I started with the legs, ensuring that the lighter shades were more present towards the knees. I'm really no texture artist, but I'm following a couple of simple rules such as assumed lighting to dictate where colors are placed, and being mindful of what colors they neighbor. I think the effect looks alright. Next up, I got to work on the body, starting with the abdomen. Once again, the lightest colors are positioned where light would be illuminating the spider from above, and the rest is really just a whimsical journey downwards, culminating in the darkest shade on the underside of the spider. Whilst I was making this part of the texture, I realized that I could use a few additional colors, so I went back to the palette and expanded it accordingly. Then I finished up the abdomen, went back and updated the legs with the new palette, and started work on the neck. The neck is relatively small and one of the individual parts that you see the least of, so it was pretty easy to round off. Lastly, the head. An entity's head is typically its most important feature. It's the thing that your eyes naturally focus on when looking at the whole entity. I separated the Caelesti from the head to make both easier to texture and started on a basic pattern. I realized about here that I had no idea what I wanted the eyes to look like, so consulted my references for a good layout. Unlike the vanilla spider, I'm taking the Caelesti into account when laying out the eyes on the face, but I think the final layout looks pretty good. I wanted to avoid having any of the eyes wrap around a corner, so this layout of 6 on the front face and 2 either side works pretty well. Finally, the Caelesti. I initially textured the fangs with the same palette as the rest of the body, utilizing only the 3 very brightest colors, but these would later be changed to stand out even more. Initially, I wanted to give the eyes a dark red color, but this would also get changed, more closely matching the emissive red of the vanilla spider. And with that, I give you Sporter. I really can't stress this enough. I'm not a pixel artist. I enjoy all the techie shit, but I'm not good at this. I mean, the good thing is I'm looking at this now and I'm able to see where I've gone kind of wrong with it. I think the top side of the head, neck, and abdomen look alright. Maybe these like darker corners of the abdomen just need more texturing, or maybe just like move out the lighter part more so it's more filled out. But then you get like the legs and there's just this really dark band which kind of surrounds them here. There's no obvious reason for there to be like a really dark shadow there, so it's just implied that it's part of the spider's texture and not anything to do with lighting. I don't know. I don't know. It's alright. It's alright, I guess. I'll definitely spend some more time on the texture of this thing before update 40. Oh. Did you guys know the cave spider isn't pixel consistent? The horror. The model and texture for the cave spider are identical, and I guess the whole model is just scaled down in-game. This is a really common practice in vanilla Minecraft. Baby mobs are some of the worst offenders. We can counteract this by simply halving the size of the texture, although I have a different idea for the legs that I want to show you first. You see, the legs are so thin that it's almost not worth having them be voxels. Instead, we could switch them out for 2D planes. You guys will have to let me know which you prefer. There's still a lot more to be done before I'd consider these spiders finished, but I'll await your feedback before finalizing everything. I should also have a few extra spider-related features coming in update 47, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, if you want to stay up to date with the development of Caelesti, you could subscribe or even join the Discord to see the active discussion. If you enjoyed the video, please do throw me a like, as it really helps out. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care, and bye-bye.